Hi everyone, so we're continuing our anniversary week video extravaganza, and we're going to focus on stencils one more time. This time we're going to be using inks instead of like the paste and the stuff like that has to dry. So I already have my page pre-cut, and it's just shy of the 4¼ by 5½. And I'm going to lay my stencil on top, and using I always use washi tape that I really don't ever use. I had this, I think it came in a kit with something else, and I've never used it, but so that it gets used, I use it for laying down or taping down my stencils and papers and stuff like that. So we're just going to tape down our edges real quick and do all four, because I want to try to minimize movement as much as possible. Alright, so we're going to start with the distress inks. I wanted to do a combination of this pink and gray. So the first thing we're going to do is lay down the pink color all throughout from top to bottom, okay? And that particular color is, I'm getting the one right here in front of me, Picked Raspberry is the color that we used, and the gray is Hickory Smoke. So I'm just going through, and because this one has a lot of dots on it, you just want to make sure you're getting good coverage as you're, laying down the ink. So right there, the card could be done, and it's very cute. I love this stencil. I love how the dots and everything looks. But I wanted to try, remember, it was probably towards the beginning of this year, I did a technique where once you lay down the color, you just move the stencil slightly, and then you lay down the white pigment ink. So it gives it like an added dimension, to your stenciling. So that's what we're going to do right here. But instead of using white, because we colored on white paper, I was like, well, what could the color be that we use on this? And that's where I came up with the gray, because I love pink and gray together. So I lay the stencil down where it looks like it's even to where the holes were before, and then I just moved them down slightly. And when I first picked it up, I had put the wrong cap on my distress ink, and I was like, this looks more brown. So I'm just testing it right there just to make sure my suspicions was correct. So I had to go back into my container, find I think it was Early Espresso, and switch out the lids because I had the wrong the wrong lids on top of the wrong ones. It was very funny to me. Anyway, so we're just going to ink up, and then we're going to do the same exact thing, going over the entire stencil with the gray, which will give it a nice, dimension when we take off the stencil again. And it wasn't, too overpowering. I think if we had done black, it would have been like a sharp contrast, whereas with the gray, it's just a little subtle, difference. So once we get it all down, we're going to go ahead and pull this up. And I'm going to hold this up close to the camera. In person, it's hard on the camera, but in person, it gives the card movement. It looks like the dots are moving, and it's so cool the way that they look. But it created on the white a very interesting pattern. So I decided to get more of a craft color cardstock, and with this one, I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the back, lay it down, and then we're going to lay the stencil right back on top. And the one thing I did forget to do on this part here was to wipe down the stencil before doing the pink again. But you'll see, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the pink ink and get it laid down. So we're going to do that one more time. And because the gray is kind of, you know, it's lighter than this pink, it's not going to bother it to, you know, just go ahead and stamp on, you know, use the ink on top. That's what I like about the distress inks. They clean off really well. When you have stencils and you're using it with the ink, it's not as much of a rush to get them cleaned off because, you know, baby wipes, soap and water will get it cleaned really quick. It's only when you use the paste that you have to make sure you get them cleaned off before it hardens. Alright, so real quick, I just had to get I wanted to get a new sponge, which will be for the white craft ink that I'm getting ready to use. And they call it craft ink only because it takes a little bit longer to dry. It's basically a pigment ink, so it doesn't seep, you know, sink into your paper. It sits on top longer, so that's why it's still wet, or it takes longer for it to dry. A lot of the pigment inks that we have, you know, that's the ones that we use the clear embossing powder with to dry it quicker, stuff like that. But with this technique, I really love using the white on the craft with it. It really looks neat. I love it. So once I had it pretty much laid down, I just had to move that tape a little bit because I didn't want to miss any part of the cardstock. So I'm just dipping a little bit into the white, and then we're going to spread it on just like how we did the gray and the pink. And then I noticed there's a little bit of pink on the sponge. I'm going to keep going. It didn't distress or mess up the ink pad that much. It was just like a little bit of a pink hue right on top. It'll be alright. I very rarely use the white pigment ink, so it's not like it's going to ruin it. And if you're worried about it, then all you have to do is like basically get a tissue or whatever and kind of, you know, just wipe along the top of it to get that color off. Alright, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and pull our stencil back up, and I'll show you up close. It just gives it a highlight. It's very light, but up close, when you guys see the pictures of everything at the end, which is coming up, you'll see it just creates a very nice pattern. It really does. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed the pink and the gray and the pink with the white, and we're going to see a little bit more close-ups here. Just make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and please share. We're already to 260 as far as subscribers, and we'll be having another giveaway very soon when we get to 300. Okay, so thank you guys again, and I'll look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.